So yesterday I watched a movie called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. This is the Leverton review where I watch and review as much as I can on my way to becoming the most prolific reviewer of all time. And honestly, I'm not really sure how to describe this movie. It's one of those films where you finish watching it and think, okay, what exactly did I just watch? The plot is complicated, bizarre, and occasionally completely ridiculous, and not in a good way. The movie starts with a guy taking a bunch of people hostage in a restaurant, and almost immediately he tells them that he's a time traveler. Apparently, he's come back from the future to stop something from happening, and he's done this 117 times before. And every single time he's failed. So already we're off to a pretty strange start. Eventually, we find out that there's an artificial intelligence in the future that's gone rogue, and our time traveler has been sent back to stop it, or at least make sure that it has safeguards that prevent it from becoming completely evil. And that's basically the main plot. Except the movie doesn't just follow the time traveler. Instead, it keeps jumping around between different characters and giving us their backstories. And that's where things get really weird. One of the stories involves two teachers. A few days before the main events, one of them touches a student's phone, and suddenly something very strange happens. There's this bizarre symbol, and the teenagers basically turn into zombies and start chasing them. At the time, you don't really understand what's happening, and maybe in retrospect later also. You think you do, and then you don't. But later in the movie, it becomes important. And this is one of the problems I had with the movie. It just keeps going like that. Then we get another flashback involving a mother who loses her son in a school shooting, which is already a pretty serious and bizarre direction for the movie to take. But then she gets sent shopping, like the very next day her son dies. And when she gets there, she discovers that she's basically being offered a clone of her dead son. Apparently, because her son was the victim of a school shooting, the government will pay for this replacement. But it's not really supposed to be the same person. Instead, she gets to choose various personality traits. And then she takes the clone home. And this is where the movie kind of gets a little bit funny and disturbing at the same time. The clone starts randomly advertising products. He'll suddenly say something like, can we have peach, raspberry, carbonated, blah, blah, blah? I don't know exactly what he says. And earlier in the movie, the teachers had noticed that the students were passing notes that seemed strangely similar to advertising and not like what teenagers would normally do. And eventually, we discover that they're all clones. Oh no, all the teenagers are clones. So the movie is basically combining artificial intelligence, cloning, advertising, time travel, school shootings, teenage zombies, and corporate consumerism. Because apparently one bizarre science fiction idea wasn't enough. And then the movie goes even further or continues. The mother attends a meeting with other parents, and one pair of parents reveals that they've had their child cloned 4 times because their child has been killed in 4 separate school shootings. And by the fourth time, they're basically treating the whole thing like an absurd joke. It's incredibly dark, but the movie presents it in such a bizarre way that it almost becomes a dark comedy. I mean, that's what they were aiming for. Dark comedy doesn't quite get there. Then there's another character who is apparently allergic to Wi-Fi and technology, and this is um a concept that's kind of strange, but it's just so ridiculous. Like, imagine living in a world where your body basically says, nope, turn off the Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, this character's story gets mixed into all of the other bizarre things happening. We get the cat that eats people, the teenage zombies come back, there's the time traveler, there's the AI, there's cloning, and somehow the movie tries to connect all of these things together. And this is where I think the movie really struggles. The actors are actually pretty good. The actor who plays the time traveler does a good job. And I also thought the actress playing the woman who's allergic to Wi-Fi did a good job. The problem really isn't the acting, it's the writing. The story is just really chaotic. The structure of the movie is extremely strange. You know, they're going back and forth, back and forth. It's technically an ensemble movie, but the time traveler character is probably the closest thing we have to a main character. And yet the movie keeps moving away from him to tell the backstories of all of these other people. Sometimes those stories eventually connect to the main plot, but at other times you're sitting there wondering, why are we watching this? And then 20 minutes later, the movie suddenly explains why it was important. And then there's the AI itself, which I think is the most egregious problem with the movie. It just did not work at all. The AI eventually becomes this strange physical entity that can control cables and wires and basically interact with the physical world. And it looks incredibly bizarre. It reminded me of the way movies used to portray the internet in the early days of the internet. They might make the argument that it's all a simulation, so that's what they're simulating. But I don't think that it really works, actually, because the characters don't know it's a simulation, so why would it look that way? A genuinely sentient AI probably wouldn't need to physically become some giant technological monster. It would just be a software program, you know. But the movie decides to make it something much more visual and ridiculous. Like, it literally is like a pile of cables and a little boy is sitting on top of it. And I think that makes it less interesting. So what did I think of Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die? I'd give it about a 5 out of 10. So not very good. The acting is good. There's some funny moments, some interesting ideas, but it does feel like it was generated by AI, which is weird because it's sort of an anti-AI film. The story is extremely complicated. The structure is strange, and sometimes it just feels like idea after idea after idea. So time travel, sure. AI, why not? Cloning, absolutely. Zombie teenagers, throw them in. A cat that eats people, of course. Someone who's allergic to Wi-Fi, why not? So as I said, my rating 5 out of 10, and I think that's probably the best way to describe it. Very weird, somewhat entertaining, very confusing, especially if you start thinking about it more and more. But it's definitely not something I would watch again. But that's just what I thought. Have you seen Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die? If you have seen it, let me know in the comments what you thought of it, especially if you actually, you know, liked it, because I'd be curious. But if you like what I do, please subscribe to the channel, please like the videos, leave a comment. All of that helps other people to find what I'm doing. I'm trying to become the most prolific reviewer of all time. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.